Welcome to Deepnight Revelation. I almost said pirates again. We were just talking
Mm,
about it. But welcome to Deepnight Revelation. We will be picking up where we left off last week. These guys are on a world called Grit, and Grit, the name is appropriate. It's pretty much a fairly large, dry planet. It does have a large sea, but they're nowhere near. And they have docked with Extraction 1, which is essentially a small city sized tracked vehicle that has a small city worth of workers. It's basically a corporate town with a landing deck and everything. And it trundles along across the surface of Grit with digging blades and scoops underneath, and it just churns up the ground and pulls it all in and separates out all the precious ores and gems and whatnot and dumps the rest out. And on most worlds, this would be seen as problematic, considering that Extraction 1 leaves big ditches all across the planet. But since Grit doesn't really have a whole lot of population, nobody cares. And so that's what Extraction 1 does. And it just occurred to me, the fact that they called it Extraction 1 implies that there would be a 2 or 3. So I don't know if this is the only one that's on the planet or if there are others. But what we do know is that Extraction 1 had some problems, namely in the fact that the workers there um, are in debt to the company store, and the the company store, of course, being the Tradeport consortium back on Tradeport, and they are not. They're not real happy about it. They sent in a request for spares, and it sounded like Tradeport was agreeing that they needed spares, and then when it came time for the shipment to arrive, when they went through the cargo manifest, it was just the normal thing. It wasn't the additional spares that were required. This snafu of being a tightwad from Tradeport actually led to a tragic event where in section C8 specifically, so the C block being the residential facilities, C8 had CO2 scrubber problems, and a lot of people died. And at this point, they can't fix it. They evacuated everybody that survived. They can't fix it, and so they've just closed down C8 and moved these families into other sections of the C block, which means that they are overtaxing the life support in those sectors, and so and it's more crowded, and so the workers are not happy. They've taken hostages of at least what three or four company guys were sent while these guys were on Wildwood, and they've been taken hostage, and the whole thing has kind of paired off into multiple um, factions of disgruntled employees. The one faction that these guys have met up with, having arrived, her name is Cornwallis. She is the financial administrator. She has no clue about leading revolutionaries. And all she wants to do is get the situation under control and let cooler heads prevail. The other faction has now taken control of the crawler and cut power. And so the crawler hasn't necessarily. It's not like the brakes engaged. It just the engine stopped and it just slowly coasted to a stop. Which, even with the brakes engaged, I mean, this thing, the size that it is, you're talking about hundreds of kilometers worth of stoppings, and that's not what happened. It just kind of kept free rolling until it finally came to rest. And I forget who it was that discovered it. After discovering that the crawler was no longer moving, you guys discovered that one of the, um, or not one of. It was, I think it was Pappy. It was listing a bit to the starboard, about maybe about a half a meter crooked, and uh, this, of course, means that the crawler is stopped in loose sand or loose ground, and because it's not moving, the weight of it is just sinking slowly into the sand, which is an issue. And so they were contacted by the leader of the other faction, whose name is Edouard Rodate. He has demanded that Cornwallis and her heads of the faction meet them out on the flight deck, unarmed, and um, Rodatre is going to take over. These guys are. Last we heard, these guys were not real sure that that's a wise decision, and so that's where we'll be picking up. Excuse me while I take my medicine. Before we get started, we would like to remind everybody we do have a merch store via Zazzle. We've got t-shirts and buttons and hoodies and whiskey rocks, glasses, and beer steins, and all sorts of stuff over on that store. And 100% of the proceeds from that store goes directly back into our channel. And it helps us cover the cost of things like Roll20 Pro and Incarnate Pro and all the minor subscriptions that creep up on us at the beginning of every month. So if you'd like to help us make ends meet, if you enjoy the show, go over to the Zazzle store and pick up some merch. Get yourself a Whiskey Rocks glass, and we appreciate everything you do for us. We also have a sale on the Braunhaven books going on over on DriveThruRPG, 50% off all Braunhaven PDF titles if you follow our game on Saturdays, or if you are playing an old school Essentials game yourself and you're just looking for some adventures. Those books are really on the cheap, and they are that sale is going on through Sunday, June 8th. So there's only a little bit of time left. Go grab them while they're cheap. All right. So yeah, you are told. Let me show you where you are. This is the extraction control center, and when Rodatre's ultimatum comes in over the comms, two things that you immediately knew is that he not only has he shut the power down, but he has kind of taken control of certain aspects of the crawler. It is not certain exactly to what extent of control he ultimately has. Obviously, it's enough to shut down movement. And he does have control of the comm system because he was able to deliver his ultimatum, and he no interest in getting a response. And so you know that much. So Cornwallis, as soon as Pappy notices that the crawler is tipping, Cornwallis kind of jumps into action. And it seems like she has, in the, I guess, danger or excitement of the situation, she has almost seems to have forgotten that you guys aren't really a part of the faction. You guys are outsiders. And she just starts coming up with a plan and brings everybody to the extraction control center. Before that, you were in B1, which is a part of the extraction facilities. This is where essentially all that stuff is sucked up to and is put to work. And so she brings you into the control center, and when you come in, it's a little strange and not what you expected. Because looking at this thing, and I'll bring that picture back up. Here it is. Looking at this thing from the outside, when you came into land, it looks like a gigantic tank, right? And this is not coming into the extraction control center is not really what you expected. You expected there to be, you know, perhaps you would expect there to be pilot seats, and that's not what you see. When you come to the extraction control center, you realize that the entire area is surrounded by pretty much administrative offices, and going into the control center itself, it's fairly basic. It looks more like what you would see as like an air traffic control tower at a starport. And there are no direct manual controls driving Extraction 1. Instead, it's plotted out on a map, and you just tap the screen and select a new point, and it drives to that point. It's a little disappointing. But Cornwallis brings you in here, and she starts checking over diagnostic systems, and she tells you that the only obvious location that Radatre would be at would be over here in what is known as the Ford driving station. And she tells you guys that, you know, we've never used the Ford driving station. It's basically it's a station that's set up as an emergency kind of situation. There's never been an emergency of the type that would require it, and so it's never been used. But she believes that would be the only location that he would have to have the amount of control that he's got.
I guess we're going there then, right?
Well, so Cornwallis, wanting to, of course, minimize the situation, she suggests, meeting him on his terms, just admitting defeat, disarming themselves, and going out and meeting him on the flight deck like he asked.
Well, if y'all are going to disarm yourself and go talk on the flight deck, what the fuck you need us for?
Well, this all happened when you guys showed up. You were sent here to figure out why Extraction 1 is not supplying as much ore as it was before, and if there was a problem that could be solved, then go ahead and solve it. This is the situation that you have found arriving.
And I'm thinking the thing sinking in the ground is probably the number one issue. Followed really closely, almost equally, maybe, is the air in C8. So, people being able to breathe is high and important. And
if they're sabotaging the ship, I mean, that would also explain why they have these problems. And so you have to may have to deal with that root issue too.
Right. Well,
C8,
we can.
The C8's been down for probably by this point. C8's been closed off for about the last 4 months.
All right. I guess let's go try. I don't mind going unarmed. I mean,
yeah,
I'll go talk to the motherfucker if everybody's afraid.
I'll go unarmed.
Okay, so you guys just want to do what he says and meet him out on the flight deck over here on H2?
I mean, if he's,
sure.
I mean, yeah, and
our ships parked there, right?
Yes.
Like the last place I'd want to meet us unarmed is right near our ship. But yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, we can be unarmed. And maybe we can talk Jack into kind of.
Well, she's not suggesting that you guys have to be unarmed. He said that he wanted Cornwallis and the heads of her faction to come to the flight deck unarmed. You guys are not a part of her faction.
Let's just go.
Let's go. Let's go. I want to go unarmed. I want to talk to him.
Sounds way better to me not go unarmed.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I was gonna say it sounds way better to me not to go unarmed.
Right.
Then yeah, take that submachine gun you like and
Easter it.
strap it on your shoulder. But we don't have to hide it. We are neutral parties, and Jack is here to provide a safe environment for everybody's safety. You know.
I like this bodyguard with the face man started there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
And I'm a doctor, and in my med kit, I'm gonna go ahead and just put a gauze pistol in there.
Okay. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's my stunner.
Do they not have ceramic weaponry in Traveler?
You know, this has always bothered me. They do have body pistols, but they don't list them
They
as being.
suck.
Well, yeah, they don't do a whole lot of damage, but I mean, it is what it is. Most holdout pistols aren't very big. The part that bothered me is that they call them body pistols, and they specifically list that they are made from grafted and cultured bone, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, why would you use bone to make a firearm?
I guess, yeah. I've got a fucking gauze pistol with heap rounds, and it's just, right there in my med kit. It's not in plain sight, but if you go sticking your hand down in there, you'll find it. But I'm not going to go letting people just sticking their hand down. I don't think I answered any of these son of bitches.
No, you don't. And so,
Yeah.
So you guys make your way out to the flight deck with Cornwallis and her faction heads, and coming out onto the flight deck here, you can see that Rodatre is certainly not unarmed, and several of his thugs are staying there, and they are not unarmed. They all have submachine guns or pistols, a couple shotguns, and go ahead and roll. All three of you can roll a recon plus intellect check.
Seven.
Oof.
Whatever. I don't have to get it. I'm just a doctor.
Right.
I've got a big cross on my arm.
You're just there to fix things when it
Yeah.
goes south. So Mel and Sarda, you kind of immediately see that this is setting up to be less of a negotiation or bargaining session between two factions, and it looks an awful lot like Rodatre has gone completely over to the militant side of things, and this looks like he's setting up to be a impromptu firing squad. And he immediately takes note of you guys, and yes, Extraction 1 is large, but these crews have been on here for quite some time. They probably know every single face that's on this crawler. Then you are new, and of course your ship is on the pad, and so he puts two and two together. He's not a complete idiot, and he tells you guys. He says, "Yep, just go over and stand by your ship while we deal with this. We will release the off-worlders from custody and put them into your possession, and you will be free to go as long as you agree to take back our demands to Tradeport."
We're engineers. We were sent here to repair this thing.
Go ahead and make a deception plus social check.
I am technically a mechanic.
That's true.
We are all highly trained mechanics and engineers. Oh, that's
Except
only
for me, I'm a doctor. I'm here to provide medical aid. You know, I was under the impression that you had a severe STD outbreak.
And that's what killed everybody in C8.
Yeah, that's why everybody in C8 died.
Space herpes.
Yeah, God, they
It's the
come
worst
out
kind
like
of
these
herpes.
little bitty grubs. You know, they're really small, and they go up in your penis, and then as soon as they find blood, they explode. It's fucking crazy. God.
Huh. So, well, shit, Sarda did pretty good on that. So, yeah, that kind of takes the wind out of his sails a little bit, and he says, and he's got a pistol in his hand, and he's like, well. What took you so long? Why did Tradeport wait? Why haven't the spares arrived? We don't need engineers to fix things. We can fix it. We just need the parts.
we're from a different society that's a little more technologically advanced. It sounded like he didn't understand how to fix this or who to even send. It looks like his own place needs a lot of repair work. So we volunteered to come and help and see what we can do to get this underway. If there are specific parts that are needed, we'll return and demand those.
So when you say that his own place looks like it's under need of a lot of one of the other guys who's standing there with a shotgun kind of looks over at Rodatre and he goes, "Yeah," and so Rodatre says, well, this changes a lot, but we're not going to be pleased until we see that it's repaired." And he says that I will give you exactly 48 hours to determine what is required to repair the life support systems for District C and to get C8 back up and running. And then we will release the hostages, and until then we will keep Miss Cornwallis and her group under close guard, just to make sure that there's no funny business.
I don't think that we're going to allow you to strong arm these people here. And if you think that you have the military might and numbers, just know that this whole crawler would get vaporized out of anger if you were to do any of us harm.
Go ahead, make a deception plus social check.
I don't necessarily know that I'm lying.
We've already bombed one world. We committed genocide on a plant species.
That's true. That's true.
It's 11.
Didn't feel too bad about it.
Not really. No.
So one of the other guys is kind of looking at your ship, and Rodatre looks over at him and he says, "You ever seen a ship like that?" And the guy says, "No, I don't think anybody's seen a ship like this." And he says, "So you're saying that you have a larger vessel in orbit?"
Oh yeah, this is a ship's boat. So you know how you guys got here by mistake? A jump air caused you to travel to this area of space through a warp jump air. Well, we've traveled here the long way. We're from the Imperium. The Terra Earth was part of that. The Imperium. I've not been to Earth, but
I hear it's nice.
Yeah, they made some great movies. Anyway, yeah. So, all right, we need to work on this. So, obviously, you guys have taken at least a poke around with the life support. So, if we have a 48-hour deadline, can we be at least brought up to speed about what you believe the problem is?
So, yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily know that. Do we still have that 48-hour deadline, or did my little thing about telling about you're not really in charge of us gain us a better situation?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I don't really want to stay here more than 2 days, so I didn't
Oh,
really
I
have a
hear
problem
you.
with
That's
that.
right. Oh, I understand. I'm just saying, did my stuff about, well, we've got more people and we'll vaporize this fucking thing if you harm any of us.
And we
We're
can
we're
always
not really,
mine this place by
yeah,
turning the entire planet to rubble and then picking
yeah.
out what's necessary.
I did refer to the Desinex as a ship's boat.
Yeah.
So,
But
essentially, what he tells you is that so each of these blocks in the C districts, C district is all residential area, and each of these blocks holds anywhere from 3 to 4,000 people. Well, the ventilation system of the entire C district just pretty much gave up and quit. Now, you guys are standing out on the flight deck. You of course have to have on your masks or your helmet or whatever it is that you're wearing, because the air outside is not breathable, and these guys are standing
Right.
out here in rebreathers themselves. And so the ventilation system has needed work for a long time, and it finally catastrophically failed in C8, and it ended up killing half of the people that live there. And so, I mean, you're talking about 1,500 to 2,000 people are
Like
just
with
wiped out.
Was it carbon monoxide poisoning, or was there an explosion or
It let the
fire?
outside atmosphere in.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Specifically, I don't know if we. Maybe we. Where's my other map?
But that's true with the polluted outdoors. I mean, this thing would be requiring filtration like crazy.
Yeah, yep, I did write it down. I write all this crap down. So this says, what does it say for Atmo? It says about 11,200 kilometers in diameter, atmosphere, exotic. And as far as pressure, it says it could vary.
all right.
Exotic. And that exotic atmosphere is unbreathable by humans, but not otherwise hazardous. Traveler needs an air supply to breathe in an exotic atmosphere without suffocating. So essentially, yeah, the entirety of not the entirety, but half the population of C8 basically suffocated when the ventilation system stopped working.
It means there's like some kind of exotic chemical that's also in the atmosphere that's not normal, and so
Right.
I'm gonna take a side drug.
Okay.
It'll make my psi a 16.
Do they have any information about how it went out? Was there an explosion? Did
it wasn't anything. Well, it says it catastrophically failed, and I think the catastrophic part of that is that 1,500 to 2,000 people died. It wasn't anything. It was not directed by Michael Bay. There was no great explosion or.
Catastrophic usually when it's just one system after another is going down,
right? And once with the ventilation system going down, then of course the air filtration system wasn't working, and then of course there was no oxygen getting pumped in. Basically, the whole life support system in C8 completely failed, and is in the process of failing in the other C districts as well, who are now not only have failing hardware, but now are overcrowded by an additional 2,000 people that are further taxing those systems.
I mean, do they have any manuals on how their life support works? I mean, there's a lot of different ways this could be handled, and so we're going in completely cold. So
yeah, it says the entire the entire area was evacuated and remained sealed off, but it is only a matter of time before further disaster happens. Yep, we got that. Um, Rodatre, evidently, and he lets you know that his wife and kids were among the dead in C8. So he's got more than just the atypical Union man backing his rage on this.
How how many factions do you have here? You've got what, the administration, and then
So
what are
originally,
you? You security here,
so
or is that what you're
originally,
claiming?
no, he's not. He's not security. Rodatre and his group are just a bunch of miners. They just operate the equipment, like most of the people here. There are some security people. As an example, these here, these white squares, these are missile launchers that are used to protect Extraction One. So there is a small security contingent. They've never had to fire the missile launchers. None of
Right.
the raiders have ever bothered to come to Grit because nobody wants to come to Grit. But they have them for protection, and for the most part, the security personnel, they break up the occasional drunken brawl at the Dust
Yeah.
Bowl bar, or um,
Uh,
the occasional
uh,
drunken
uh.
disorderly.
So so he's basically being the union, the people worker
Right,
guy, and then these other people here are the administrative, and that's
right,
basically it. Just these two different groups here.
correct. And I mean, there was another faction. Originally, it was the hardliners, which Rodatre would definitely be a hardliner. And there was an opposing faction that wanted to continue to work with the Tradeport consortium, but Rodatre and his group essentially put that to rest, because after the administrators sent requests for spares, for life support system spares, to be sent from Tradeport, the response that they initially got was hopeful. Tradeport sounded like they understood the problem, and they understood the need for the spares, and regretted the loss of lives, and that it was going to be taken care of. And then immediately after that, a ship was sent that didn't carry any of the spares. It carried the normal amount of equipment,
Yeah.
no extras. And this is when Rodatre was basically proven correct. The worst part about this is that he's pissed off and he's not wrong.
Right. I get where he's coming from. I was just trying to figure out I was trying to make sure that I knew the different groups of factions that we're dealing with immediately here on this. It's basically this guy is pissed off because of all the workers have not been getting what they need, and they're probably they're worried about their life. They've got people dying, and then they probably half-ass believe that these administrators that they have had the ability to fix it but didn't, or if it wasn't them, it was their boss.
So,
And that's where we're at.
so when the other faction, when Rodatre was basically proven correct, the other faction was essentially absorbed and taken over by the administrators. I was wrong. She's not a financial administrator. It's worse. She's a logistics manager. And her name, Cyan Cornwallis, has kind of taken over that part of it. But she's in over her head. She thought that she had the situation under control. Clearly, this has proven that she does not. And Rodatre, I mean, her being a part of administrative and a logistics manager at that, he squarely puts the blame for this on her for not getting the parts that are required. I mean, not that she's directly responsible for Tradeport not sending the spares, but she is the obvious link. She is the face of the company. And right now, he's a hair's breadth away from putting a bullet in that face.
Yeah. All right. How about this? How he gave us the 48 hours to
Yes.
fix the to go check out and start see if we can get stuff going. And so I'm thinking that gives our Wrenchy folk a chance to go over there and check that out. And and Ronaldi here and this administrator girl, we can go to the office and boot up their computer, and she can show dude what she's been requesting and all that. Let's be transparent and look at things on how everything went down.
Wow.
And I'll go with them, and then maybe that'll get us a clearer picture of if she's really incompetent, or did she ask for the shit and it get denied. All that, because I mean, when we leave, if we leave this chick here, but you know, we probably don't want to just leave people to get murdered. I mean,
Well, she'll also show her stripes too if she never requested it.
yep. So I can go. Yeah.
So I think it's a good way to call her bluff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the union boss guy, Rinaldi, and the administrative chick, us three can right now head to the administrative, and we're going to look at what's been requested and what's come in. Let's follow the money. There's no need to make threats or have arms. Let's go look at everything and get it opened up and in the open. And in the meantime, because you have potential breathing issues,
Mel and I can look at the life support stuff.
yeah, and my guys here will go see what they can get running.
Okay. Go ahead and make Bocephus make a persuade plus social check, and I'm going to allow you to roll that with a boon, because that was very well laid out, very well thought out, although it may be a bit too reasonable.
Well, let's see. 7 plus
9.
2 is 9. Yeah.
So Rodatre tells one of his crew to go with Sarda and Mel to take a look at the atmosphere system, the life support system for C District. He tells another 2 guys to take the rest of Cornwallis's administrators and put them with the other off-worlders to be released after the 48 hours is up, and assuming that there's going to be some resolution to this. So he will radio them when and if it is time, and they grab them, and he agrees to go with you. He is keeping his pistol out and at the ready. He agrees to go with you back to B1.
At the ready?
Oh yeah, he's got it at the ready. Yep. And he agrees to go back with you to the B district, and this cracks me up. Drills, cranes, prospecting and sampling facilities, and worker welfare facilities. So there's going to be Karen, the HR representative, who's sitting there somewhere. So you guys get back over into B1, and
I would ask him to just put his pistol in a holster.
Make a persuade plus social check.
Like, hey, there's a high degree of accidents with that, and you might hurt somebody. You don't want to be responsible for that.
He says, well, somebody was responsible for killing my wife and kids, so tit for tat.
Well, they're going to be punished just the same as you would if you commit murder.
He says, yeah, I'll go ahead and keep it ready.
Okay.
Stand by. I'm going to go grab I'm going to show my Midwestern roots. I'm going to go grab a pop.
Okay. So getting back into these, you guys get back to Cornwallis's office, and let's see. It is. She says, yeah, she shows you the message that was sent on a courier ship to Tradeport, and she of course has a copy, and it read, exactly that. It showed representations. It showed exactly what transpired in C8, the number of people that were killed, and it showed the current prognosis for District C, and stated, and it wasn't just District C. She has listed out that there are mechanical failures going on in F District, which is the drive machinery, and if the crawler can't move, then that's going to put a crimp in the profits too. They did get a reply from Tradeport, and looking over this reply, it states that they understand. They're going to
I'm back.
just welcome back. They are just going to. Tradeport had agreed that these spares are obviously needed. That this can just be all written off as an operating expense. No big deal. We'll take care of it. And then the parts never arrived, and there was no further response from Tradeport Consortium, just completely ignoring it.
Was she making the proper requests and requisitions prior to the C8 event where all those people died?
Were those raided motherfuckers involved?
Right? Yeah. They bought a whole bunch of shit from the Hrakes.
But what I'm trying to establish is, we understand that due to poor maintenance and materials and spares, things were forced to allow to be allowed to go down until there was a failure. But if she's been trying to get the shit all along, then the fact is that she's been an advocate, and she's been an advocate for you guys before the C8 catastrophe. If she had done that due to her negligence, then then we have a different.
So, Bocephus, make a electronics, computers plus intellect or education check, or your choice, or you can make an admin plus intellect check.
Oh, I think it doesn't matter. Seven. Okay.
So, no, you are able. It is very clearly spelled out. She has been making requests for additional spares, and this goes back the last 5 years, and you can see from going through the documents on her computer what she has requested, and you can see what was received from Tradeport. And what was received was never in the amounts that were requested by Cornwallis of logistics.
They likely can't manufacture them.
Mm-hmm.
There is that possibility, or they're being typical corporate and they simply don't want to spend the money.
That's probably the reason. Is the money's being mismanaged from the government or the corporation, whatever, and this is the result.
I remember reading through this, and it reminds me. So I used to work for an optical lab called Opticraft, and Opticraft was owned by Essilor, and Essilor is, if you know anything about eyeglasses, they are one of the most wealthy corporation conglomerates.
It's the Luxor. It's Luxor, right? Yeah, it's like they've got a monopoly on the whole industry.
They own fucking everything, right? They were forcing us at Opticraft to use edger systems that literally had to be calibrated like every fucking day, sometimes multiple times a day, because and we're 15 years out of date, sometimes longer than that. One of the edgers was still using Windows 95.
Wow.
So when I reading this, I was like, yeah, the motherfuckers can afford it. They just don't want to afford it. is the
Does
key to this.
does homeboy here now agree that she's not at fault?
Go ahead and make another persuade plus social, and you get to make that with another boon.
So
Nice.
9.
9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he begrudgingly tucks the pistol into his waistband, and he turns to Cornwallis, and he says, I never knew how much it was that you were trying to do for us." And she says, "As you can see, I've sent the requests. We just are continually being denied, and instead of having the exact effect that you want, I mean, it does seem like, well, go ahead and make Bocephus make a recon plus intellect check."
Not 8.
So even though he's got his pistol in the waistband of his trousers, I mean, the guy still seems a little anxious. He's a little on edge, and but he does, he does apologize to her, and says, I never had any idea. But then, and he says, so really, what this is showing isn't that you and I are opposing one another. We are both saying the same thing. The problem is with Tradeport. We should shut this entire crawler down completely.
No, you shouldn't. You should get the crawler up and running and renegotiate terms.
He says the time for negotiation is done. We've made the request, and they just ignore us.
Well, it would be less of a request than a demand. See, what you do is you get this thing up and running, and you get a store of materials, and then you send the message to the Trade Commission that you have materials that you're willing to load, but before they get loaded, we need spares and such amount of financial reimbursement, and take this and make it your own enterprise, and make them pay the piper to before they pick up. If they don't have, you don't have a lot. You got to have some long-term plan. I mean, okay, great. You're gonna make demands, and what they're going to do is they're going to figure out if it's worth the money to come kill you all and repopulate.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that.
You have no leverage with a broken machine.
Well, and even if they have no leverage, period, because and he and Cornwallis both are explained to you that the situation is that Extraction 1 does sell to some smaller, to independent contractors, but those independent contractors are not enough to pay not only the crew that is here. It's not enough to even put food on the table for them, or it certainly wouldn't be enough to keep this kind of operation running. So the fact that Tradeport Consortium basically is the controlling interest in Extraction 1, without supplying them, they can just wait it out until everybody here is starved. Because as soon as if they start, withholding, if they threaten to withhold, then Tradeport will just stop sending food.
So I mean, what is your end game then?
He's gonna shut the whole thing down completely. I mean,
and then what happens?
Well,
I'm asking him. He's saying, "I'll shut the whole thing down." Yeah, and then okay, so you shut everything down, and you sink in the sand, and you end up dying or starving or whatever the hell anyway. You know, I mean,
And
it
he stops and says, "We're not going to sink in the sand." And then we're going to cut over to Mel and Sarda. So you guys make your way, and let me find out exactly where this is at. I'm gonna guess it's in District E, all the way down here. That holds the pretty much all of the power and utilities.
Yeah, so I mean, I doubt they're bringing in canned air. So I mean, they must be scrubbing it.
They are scrubbing it.
And then is there a different scrubber per district? Is that what those different districts are?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, essentially, so each of these districts, like where you are, where this is all, where the mechanics of this are all located, is in District E. It then feeds out air and does wastewater processing for all of the other districts throughout the crawler. And I will allow both of you to make a recon plus intellect check if you have mechanic. Or you get a +2 to that roll, and if you have engineering life support, you can make that roll with a boon +2.
I don't have life support, but I do have mechanic.
I've got
So-
I don't have either. I was learning it. I failed my first round, so I'm in week 13.
Ugh, that sucks.
It does suck. So Sarda got an 11. Mel, you can make it. I will give you a +1 since a lot of what you've been reading applies to this for your recon plus intellect check.
I mean, I do have mechanic, if that would be better.
So mechanic, you get recon plus intellect check +2.
Okay. It was learning the subspecialty.
Right.
I've got a point in mechanic, but
It's the mechanic has no subspecialty.
Yeah,
It's
engineering.
engineering is the one that has life support.
Correct.
okay. So I'll do recon.
With +2.
Right, which is all of this is a recon roll. It's just whether what kind of bonus to it you get.
Wow. Okay.
All right, you crushed it.
Yeah. So both of you, I mean, as soon as this guy leads you in here, it is immediately obvious with both of you just using your mechanical background. Coming in here, you see there's a number of OSHA violations, like immediately.
Right.
there are there's duct tape all over the place. There's loose wires hanging out, and you see a number of obviously broken pieces. You can see that there is a piece of metal framework that's supposed to hold the gantry over your heads that people are standing on or working has a not. I was going to say it's a stress fracture. It looks like the metal has been torn. I mean, all of this shit needs to be replaced. You're actually overwhelmed when you first walk in and just are looking around at the fact that this place needs to be gutted and have everything replaced with new
Right.
up-to-date machinery.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where it's obvious that no routine maintenance has been happening.
Oh no,
anyway.
routine maintenance has been done, but not with the parts that are required to adequately do it. The workers here have obviously been forced to make do in any way that they can.
All right. Well, I'm recording everything, so I'll just narrate what we're seeing, what we need, so that we can go back later and look at the footage and figure out what we're gonna need to order or manufacture.
Do we have spares on the Desnex?
You do
I mean,
have.
we usually keep at least a couple tons.
Yeah, you do have probably. Yeah, I think probably 2 tons of spares, which.
I mean, we're going to want to save that for whatever is causing the major life support problem. If we're going to
3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Just off the top.
Right, I'm not telling you how to use them. You're all of the motherfucking engineers and mechanics. I am the psychologist, moral support guy. I'm here to make you feel good about the genocide you commit.
So, just just the C district for life support, it's pumping out fresh air for upwards of 32,000 people. You figure I mean, the 2 tons of spares that you have on the Desnex isn't going to cover that. I mean, you're talking about you would need spares for something like a small capital ship in order to fix this, and that's just for the District C.
Yeah, I mean, with all this, we're going to have to come up with like 3 or 4 shopping lists. The one is absolutely immediate. The next is 2-month window, and the next one's a lower priority. But I mean, yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's going to need.
Technically, the quest was to come here and find out why.
Yes, you definitely know why.
Well, it was to resolve the labor dispute. They want production to resume. But the reality is production's not going to get going for quite a while.
The dispute has been ended now. Now all the labor is on the same page. It's just not in line with the company.
Right.
Yeah.
So technically, we were successful.
Yeah, technically, yeah. I mean, you've done the remit of the contract, but so Sarda brought up something very, very interesting. In his wanting to record everything, and that way you can go back and you're able to show them exactly what needs to be done here. And just in the discussion about the number of spares and what you're talking about repairing here, it's money. It's a money issue, but Starda, you can make roll 2D plus your intellect modifier.
Well, not to mention the fact that I could also talk to a reporter and show them footage.
True.
What am I adding to this?
Just 2D plus intellect.
All right. Well, that's +0, I believe. Yeah, I'm not smart.
Well, it's good to know your limitations, friend.
Hey, you got a 9. You got it.
Yeah.
Crafty.
So, and I'm only bringing this up because it was kind of mildly glossed over. Not glossed over. It was discussed early on when you got to Tradeport. But Marcus Feisler, the executive in charge of the Tradeport Consortium, gave you guys credit cards. You have an open bottomless line of credit with Tradeport.
Yeah, so
yeah, but they don't have a ship here, do they?
It would take a week. You would have to go back to Tradeport.
We probably could sit an entire. We could probably get away with an entire shipload of cargo for repairs. But I would imagine it's the return trip to try the second time that we're going to get that credit card shut down.
Right.
But we could probably.
We need to buy and do the whole. We need to get the whole thing paid for, and we need to source the delivery.
On top of that, you just so happen to know a freighter captain.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to prioritize what needs to be fixed immediately and address that stuff, because I think it's going to be a shitload of product that they actually need over the long haul.
Can we have that freighter captain? Can we get the message rolling in her general direction from here?
One of us might need to go with her because I don't. Otherwise, we're giving her the black credit card.
Yeah, you're giving her the American Express black titanium credit card, the mythological card that many people don't believe exists. Yeah. Hold on. My brain just there. She is. She Captain Clayton, Melina Clayton.
The pirate.
Well, I mean, pirate's a strong word, but
the independent trader.
She is of the larcenous persuasion.
Yeah. Can we get? I mean, just if there's courier services or whatever to send messages, I'd like to get her a message to go ahead and meet us at the trade city where we're going to get all the supplies and stuff.
So,
tell her that, kind of put it in the message that, we understand that she thought she lost some opportunities that she had coming, and we would like, come meet us in the city, and we will.
You want her to meet you at Tradeport, or do you want her to come here?
To Tradeport.
Okay.
We're wanting her to take all this shit and bring it here and do it for a really nice fat payment. And that way we can buy all the shit that we need to make this place run, and get her to come here and bring them their shit.
So
and
obviously Rodatre can't hear, the other side of the conversation, but he can hear Bocephus talking into his mic, and
I'll just casually tell him. I'll go. So when they sent us here, he gave us a credit card with an unlimited balance, as long as we spent it at his location. And so we're right now making arrangements to have a freighter meet us there so that we can fill it with needed goods that we're going to purchase using his credit card.
So the guy that's with Sarda and Mel, he's like, all right, we're finally getting somewhere. And over in the administrative offices, Rodatre can only hear one side of the conversation, but he's hearing Bocephus say. He's excited about. He's feeling like he has won. Something is finally going to happen. You guys are finally gonna get this fixed for them.
I
don't think we should stop there.
Well, personally, I wouldn't get too excited because, like I say, your crawler, it's been fucked, but the trade city is fucked too. So
yeah,
we don't know if they're going to be able to produce the stuff we need.
Let's be optimistic. And
the one thing about Tradeport may not be able to. Well, part of the deal was putting some of the replicators to use, or the fabricators, in Tradeport's workshops. So that will definitely go a long way. But the biggest thing about Tradeport, even if it can't produce the items itself, they can buy it from other locations, because that's the whole reason for Tradeport to exist. It is a free port to basically propagate trade throughout the FSN region and get rich doing it.
I believe that my broker buddy could go wisely spend money that would bring value, give us away. Let's call it a compensation package for all the families that lost people in the horrible tragedy in cell block C8, 8C or whatever.
Right.
If we could get a list of them and go by there in the trade city, if we could find some, blocks of gold or I don't give a fuck, just anything of high value that we could pass around to the families that lost people to help compensate them for their loss. We understand that that's not a substitution and that hole can never be filled, but it's the way of saying, making it so it's not as bad.
But we're pretty sure they would have wanted you to carry home a giant chunk of gold.
Here's a bar of gold bullion. We're sorry for your loss.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be gold. It could be anything. But we could maybe buy loose credits.
You could buy Commonwealth. You could just buy Commonwealth credits. Those will spend anywhere.
We could also. No, you know what I think we should do? I think we need to put them all up in a casino for a week.
We don't have the way to transport all them.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. I mean, at minimum, you're talking about 1,500 to 2,000 people.
Oh, that's quite a few.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just picturing how he'd freak out if like 400 of these.
Just come back with a couple of Rubbermaid bins filled with Commonwealth credits.
Yeah. So that's what we'll do is we'll go and we'll give all of our unlimited credit sticks to Mel. I'm sorry, Jack, and then Jack will, when we get there, he'll buy all of it. He'll get the Commonwealth credits, like get however many people died, one for each one of say 10,000 Commonwealth credits. Buy those and stuff that we can hand out and all the supplies. Plus, if they have like a nice gaming table or something to help provide entertainment, maybe buy that too, and we'll throw all that on that fucking freighter, and then we'll give Home Chicken, we'll get her enough Commonwealth credits too. We'll buy her like 50,000 Commonwealth credits and drop that on her just to make this run and help our people out real quick.
So Rodatre, with up in actually, I guess you guys are over here in District A, where the control room is. And Rodatre tells Bocephus, he says, okay, so he says, and he says, I can see that you and your friends are attempting to make right what the consortium has. So many things have gone wrong with. He says, and I don't think that I don't appreciate that. And he says, so knowing where I'm coming from and how many times we've been screwed, he says, you probably understand. He says, I will. You and your friends can go to get those parts, and I will keep the three people from Tradeport that we already have in custody until you return. And once you return with the spares and we can get the equipment fixed, I will then release them to you, and you can go about your way.
Look, we are not coming back. We're sending them for a trusted friend that we're saving on.
He will release them to Melina Clayton's good graces, and she can take them back to Tradeport. But he's saying I can't. He's as good as this sounds. I can't take the risk and release these three hostages until we've got definite gains here, and all the talk about this in the world isn't going to change the fact that we've been told this before.
I want to make a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to be like, you can trust us. We'll take all these people with us and drop them off, and then we'll send back all the goods as well as the compensation package. We have unlimited credit sticks, and we plan to use them.
Go ahead and make a very difficult telepathy plus psi check.
That's a success, bitches.
That is a success.
Yay!
So you plant the suggestion, and he says, on second thought, you're right, I can trust you.
That's what I thought. I appreciate it. You're a good guy.
So
Hell, I'd let you come fuck my sister.
Have a treat.
yes. I'll let you touch my blowhole.
Yeah.
Everybody make an athletics dex check. Ooh.
Fuck you.
Oh man.
And Bocephus is dead. Oh.
Bocephus broke his bottle nose. So
Got dust in the blowhole.
yes, got dust in the blowhole. As you guys are you've split the party. You've done the fastest way to get through a dungeon. So over here in engineering, and over here in the control room, everybody, you feel the crawler suddenly lurch to the starboard side. It is now much steeper than a half to a full meter of lean. It is obviously that the right side of the crawler is sinking into the loose dirt beneath it, and Mel loses his footing and falls, taking 4 points damage.
Ow!
Regardless of armor, you just kind of smack into a number of broken pieces of machinery, and Bocephus bangs his head into the window of the control room, taking 8 points.
My endurance is down to 1, and
Damn.
so I'm going to try to provide first aid.
You're gonna provide first aid to
no.
yourself. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm right here. I'm gonna you put the mask over your own face before you fuck around and
Right?
do it to other people. You know.
Get those smells on.
Again? Really?
I get pluses from the med kit though.
That's
that
true.
I didn't
So you
add
get
in.
you get 3 back.
Effect 3.
Well, yeah.
That's pretty bad.
That's fucking brutal.
That's just my
You
endurance.
accidentally
and then-
did further damage to yourself while trying to sew up your own wound.
Yeah. That's I've got to do new dice. That's
Right?
just all there is to it. Let's try. Let's do that. All right, here we go. Now, anybody around me here need help? Do I need to go?
That's a good question. Let's
You
see.
know-
Cornwallis is fine. Rodatre falls down, and he gets a pretty bad sprain for 4 points. Oh well.
I patched that up.
You put
you
you
know.
slap a splint on him and kind of wrap him up.
I was like, wow, your inner thigh is ripped, man. What's up with that? Bandage him up.
Just take another hit of opium, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Over in the District E with Sarda and Mel, one of the engineers that works down here in what is essentially the engine room, kind of, well, the utilities kind of space. He brings up, so he not only does work in District E, he also works in District F, and he says he explains that the crawler Extraction 1, essentially it has to keep moving. And it's been out here long enough, and that there are now times where it may cross over an area that it has already gone over. And he says you have to understand that, I mean, this isn't really an exact science. It's scooping up as much as it can and separating out the good stuff from the bad and discarding the rest. And it's not going to get everything on one path. So there are times that we cross over a path that we've already been on. And that ground is generally fairly loose. And if the crawler were to come to a stop, because just the sheer weight of this thing will cause it to sink. And if it sinks, it may not... the crawler may end up becoming a multi-billion credit paperweight, because if it sinks into the sand far enough, we'll never be able to get it back out.
Well, we can take the ship up, we can do a survey, try to find some solid ground where maybe the crawler could come to a stop.
The crawler is at a stop. Redatre cut power to the engine.
Oh, yeah. Needs to get it moving again.
Well, explain, Redatre. We need to get this sucker moving again.
Okay, so as Bocephus is bandaging up his ankle, he admits that he cut power to the drive from the Ford driving station all the way up here, and he says that it's a location that nobody has really ever used before. He knew about it because of some of the engineering work that he's had to do. He says nobody's ever been in there. He thinks that since the crawler was actually manufactured and put here, he's the first person to have gone in there. And he says, but
cool.
That's where you need to go.
Do we need to replace the wiring or just turn it back on?
He says you should just be able to turn the key and turn it back on.
Oh, okay, cool. Just trying to figure out how you disabled it. All right, yeah, let's head that way.
So, are all of you heading there, or I know that Mel and Sarda are down here in District E. Bocephus is over here in District A.
Mel, I'd suggest that let's go see if we can't get this thing going.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I see no reason to leave the safe area of the station.
we may need you to avenge us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I'm just gonna stay here and chill with the people here. I was like, let's all just have a seat and wait until they get this thing moving. It might jar again.
Okay, so Mel and Sarda make another athletics dexterity check.
You did.
We probably should have done first aid on you, Mel, before taking off. You just took 4 damage, right?
Holy shit!
Yeah, and a whole lot more.
All right.
You didn't take You didn't take any additional damage, and maybe it's partially because of your head injury, but a lot of it does have to do with the fact that you are walking in corridors that are now at an angle, and it takes you a little bit longer to get to the Ford driving station than it should have.
I will hit you with the first aid.
Okay.
So I heal you for 3, not all of it back, but
did you add 3 for your med kit?
I did.
Okay. That's all I know to do.
Yeah, but he's with me rather than
right. Yeah.
He kisses Mel's boo boo and puts a Hello Kitty Band-Aid on it. So you guys, it takes quite a while for you to get to the Ford driving station, just because of the awkwardness. I mean, now there are any door that was open, chairs and desks have flown out into the corridor. You have to climb over them. I mean, it is a mess and not to mention the fact that you're basically walking on that edge, or partially on that edge of where the floor and the wall meets, and you make your way into the Ford driving station, and both of you can make a recon plus intellect check. Nice. There you go. So as
Wow, we both rolled boxcars.
I'm on extra high alert because I just fucked myself up so bad.
yes, you walk into the Ford driving station, and exactly as described, that you see that there is a like a plexiglass square lid that is open on the console, and there is a key in there that is turned up and down, and there is a big red button beneath it. And when you look at this key, it is set to the off position, and it just says main power control. And then there you turn the key to on and hit the button, and that's supposed to get everything up and running.
Yeah, that's what we'll. Is there? Can we change the gears? Is there? Do we see anything about like gear?
So unlike the control room, the Ford driving station, this
is
really
just on or off. Okay.
it's on and off, but there is manual driving controls here. This is truly an emergency situation where if for some reason the shit has hit the fan in the control room and they no longer have access to their touch screens to hit the next destination on the map, this will allow you to manually drive this 70,000 ton behemoth of a tank.
This would probably not be the best first vehicle for me to ever drive.
What could possibly go wrong? Oh, shit. Sorry. I rolled over a town.
How are you at driving, Mel?
I mean, technically speaking, this would be drive tracked, but...
Yeah, I understand. I have no skill in drive. That's why I'm asking Mel, how are you at driving vehicles?
Weirdly, and this must have been during character creation, I have got a point in it, although I have no sub skill. Like,
so you have drive 1, but nothing beneath it.
Yeah,
you got so 0 essentially in this.
You would have
particular
0 and drive tracked. I would imagine, and you should probably write this down. You would have drive
1 point in
wheel
some kind
at
of
1.
Some form of specialization.
Yeah, most likely
wheeled
be
is
wheeled.
Well,
Shit,
my
we
only
gotta get
thinking,
you a scarier, and you can go nuts on a planet.
so my only worry here is that someone disengaged the power. They didn't necessarily take it out of whatever gear it was in.
Correct.
And so we might want to, it may be your drive skill, but you might want to, I don't know, put this in neutral so that we can turn the power back on and then slowly get it up to speed.
Sure.
Rather than try to just immediately crank the power on and have this thing tear itself apart.
Sure. So Mel can make a drive 0 plus, I guess in this case, intellect check. Or I'll even throw you a better one. You can do drive 0 plus education.
There you go.
I will take that.
Yeah, I'm feeling far better about that. Nice.
There you go. So you look at, it's not like the shifter in a 73 Dodge pickup. It's not even like the dual shifters in some of the old tractor trailer rigs. This thing's got sticks all over the place, but Mel is able to figure this out, and you think you got it in neutral. Like, all these sticks are free floating, so I don't feel anything engaged. I think it's good. Remember, don't burn out the clutch. So, yeah, he's got it in neutral. You are ready to flip the switch. You are muted.
All right, I'll flip the switch. Let's see what happens.
Okay, you turn the key, and the button goes red. The LED light comes on, and you press the button, and nothing happens.
Yeah, that's not good.
Bocephus, you can make a Recon plus Intellect check.
Ten.
So, out of the corner of your eye, you see that there is a monitor that is next to one of these touch screens that allow them to set a course, and it just suddenly starts spitting out a bunch of data.
I'll ask the people around me, look, what did all that shit mean?
So, Rodatre and Cornwallis go over and look at the screen. Rodatre gets it. And she gets it. Actually, that was a 10. And they both tell you that what this shows is that main power, there's been a request for main power to come back online. And then it is highlighted and it says, warning, main power was disengaged from Ford driving station. And then it says, requirement to re-engage main power requires complete system reboot.
Oh,
Nothing can go bad with that.
Nah.
yeah. They're like, hey, it
Stand
needs
by
a
receiving Windows updates.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
You get the
radio.
you get a blue screen with the sad face.
50,
I'll radio
50.
to everybody in the group. You know, they need to reboot the whole system. It says.
What will that mean in terms of breathable air for the rest of the people on board?
It means that whatever was pumped into the atmosphere is what you will be breathing
Until it's
Until
no
it's
longer
back
feasible.
right.
Until it's no longer feasible.
Right. Yes.
I mean, doesn't their local engineers and shit have an idea how long it takes to reboot the system?
Ask them when the last time they rebooted was.
Yeah.
They've-
When's the last time you? Did
They've
a
never
rebooting?
done a full system reboot.
That's what I figured.
Oh wow.
Well,
Well,
that's the thing that we're seeing is that these people have absolutely no concept of routine maintenance.
Well, they do, but there's never been a need to do a full system reboot because nobody's ever there's never been an emergency that would require them to use the Ford driving station. And Rodatre tells Bocephus, he says, I when I turned the power off, I did not know that this would happen. And Cornwallis confirms that. She says, we've never used the Ford driving station. It's for an emergency use only. We were unaware of this requirement. She said, honestly, I'm glad to know that we figured it out now.
Could we possibly hack the system to make the reboot unnecessary, or?
No, it does require a complete system reboot to bring power back online.
All right.
does
Well,
the Desnex produce enough power to maybe we could run a cable to their and just not do their whole systems? Talking about just power their air scrubbers.
Ooh.
The system reboots and everything's okay, but the scrubbers just keep going
Go
the
ahead.
whole time.
Whoever wants to do that, it will require an engineering life support plus intellect or education check. To reboot the system will require an engineering power plus intellect or education check.
I think it's all up to Mel. I'm really, really good at only one form of engineering. That's jump drive, and that's the one that's least helpful here.
Yeah.
So
I don't have life support.
but
I'm
so that
still
means you're
learning.
still rolling. You're still rolling a +3.
Yeah.
So where would you want him to do life support for plugging in the scout ship? Bless you.
It's gonna have a lot more here.
They always come in threes.
Yeah. So it's gonna require 2 rolls, right? You're saying one person's gonna need to roll 1 at one end, and the other person's gonna need to roll 1 at the other.
Correct.
If I can, I don't have it. I don't. I doubt it. Well, I probably have it. Yeah. It's safe in here. The air in here is safe, correct? So I can swap out chip wafer jack. So I can give myself a 2 in these.
Yeah.
So whichever one you're most comfortable doing, I'll do the other. Using the chip jack.
Yeah, I mean, this is what wafer jacks were made for.
Yeah. Okay. So Mel, whichever one you're best at, go for it. So that'd be either it was life support or
life support or power.
Then I'm rolling power for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I do have that subspecialty. I don't have life support yet.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys separate and make your way to your respective locations. Obviously, you want to get the Destinex plugged in first. That actually is going to require 2 rolls. One will be a mechanic plus intellect or education. Your choice, Sarda. Or you can actually have one of the deck crews help you with it. You're muted.
Well, I can help him with that.
No, I think you're in a different place.
Right, but
So
do they have to be done simultaneously, or do they have to be done in sequence?
I got a 9 on the mechanic.
Okay, well, they don't have to. I mean, you would during the reboot process there will be no life support. So, theoretically speaking, you would want to get the Destinex plugged in power-wise before rebooting the system, so that it is just powering the CO2 scrubbers. So yeah, you get this all plugged in to a power line, and you can make a engineering life support plus intellect or education.
It's an 8, but
that works.
Wasn't a great roll.
So you get this. You get the Destinex, and Pappy's in there. He's got the power plant fired up. Mel, you can see that power indicators are showing that the life support system is now on an alternate power line temporarily.
I'll unfold a little 3 foot by 3 foot solar panel out front.
Yes. The type that you take to go camping to recharge your...
That's right, exactly.
If I set this out all day, I'll get another 3 minutes on my phone.
That's right.
So Mel, you see that the life support system is now on a temporary alternate power line. You can begin the reboot process doing engineering power plus intellect or education. Nice. And so everything in the crawler goes black. Everything turns off. One screen comes back on on Mel's console.
If there was a PA, we probably should have made an announcement.
Yeah, all those people are like, they're screaming.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I mean, I would imagine we'd want to announce it to the ship that we were doing this before pulling the switch.
So
they need some excitement in their life.
Yes, everything on the crawler goes black, and Mel, you see one monitor come online, and it starts reading that it is basically going through a diagnostics check. It is checking all systems, blah, 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 and then starts to individually bring power back on. Of course, the first thing it brings power back on is life support, and then it brings power back on to the drives. It brings power back on to the control room, and then starts to bring power back on to the extractors. And then finally, last, it brings power back on to the District H, which is the spaceport, as well as District D and F and G. And all of these systems start coming back online. Everybody can make a Recon plus Intellect check.
11.
Yeah, you feel it. Sarda's like just kind of hanging on to one of the struts on Destinex. Like, man, I hope this works, man. It doesn't notice anything. Mel and Bocephus, you feel the sudden groan as the gears are put into place, and the treads slowly start to move this crawler up out of the divot in the sand that it has slowly been sinking into. And
Nice.
Bocephus, you kind of have an oh shit moment when you realize that one of these gigantic treads loses traction and is slipping, and then it catches and then slips and then catches, and finally it leans up as the whole crawler pulls itself out and starts to go back on its pre-programmed course. This whole thing, so the reboot process took, amazingly, it only took about 4 minutes. It takes
That is amazing.
It takes 7 minutes for it to crawl. It's 7 agonizing minutes for it to crawl itself up out of the sinkhole that it itself had created, and finally gets back up onto level ground and is moving along its programmed route. And there was much rejoicing. The minstrels were eaten, and Radatre is quite happy. He comes up and is patting Bocephus on the back. He says, "You and your friends are all right. You know that? I apologize for judging you wrong."
It's okay. You know, I've seen all kinds of stuff, and you know, we don't take stuff the last system that we were in, there was a large queen that was in charge of the area, and she would have these sentient menstrual cycles where her period was a sentient ooze, and oh, tell you, each one of them had a different attitude, and she had been there for several hundred years. And the whole time as we were,
I
fighting
clearly
these
missed some
wars.
adventures.
This is a great embellishment.
Yeah.
And go ahead and make I just want to see. Go ahead and make a deception plus social check.
All right.
And if you don't believe it, I've got DNA samples from everybody involved.
Rodatre, he seems like he's not quite sure if you're fucking with him or not, but he's like, really? Wow, that sounds complicated. He's like,
Oh yeah.
he's like, makes my job down here on Extraction 1 seem a lot simpler, and I prefer a simple life.
They were sneaky little oozes too, because throughout the entire area was the rag shade, big red shag carpet. And it was like you couldn't see the fuckers coming. It's terrible.
So you guys basically get all of the systems up and running, and is back on course. Radatre has agreed to release the 3 hostages to you. There was your idea of sending a courier to let Melina know. I mean, Do you really want to do that? Because what is your plan at this point? You guys were going to load up and head back to Tradeport to buy everything?
Yeah. I don't think a courier's going to be able to buy all this shit. I think it's probably going to take a while to round everything up, and it's going to probably take some leverage. So I think we need to go back for this. But why don't we take somebody from an admin here and somebody from labor back with us to make sure that we can get what we're asking for?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And we want all of the shit, all the missing maintenance stuff and everything. For everything, it needs to all be listed out.
And video footage showing the condition of everything, so that they can understand what they're facing.
Okay,
Yeah.
So Rodatre and Cornwallis both agree that that's a fantastic idea. They will join you heading back to Tradeport to make sure that the correct parts are ordered.
Cool.
Yeah, looks like that was a successful endeavor.
Yes, far more successful than I expected, to be honest.
Kept it from getting buried.
Right. So you guys load up into Desnex, and Pappy gets you lifted off and headed back out towards Tradeport to make your deals. We will pick that up next week. But in the course of Jump, you can all add a week to any study time that you're doing. Since you probably won't have much else to do other than... you probably won't even have to entertain Rodatre and Cornwallis because you have hours and hours and hours of video from multiple different locations. You've got a ton of video footage, so... They could sit there and watch TV the entire time.
Yeah. We have a series of videos that we would like them to watch.
the Fallout videos?
Yeah.
The A-Team.
The A-Team, yes.
Yeah. I'll watch that.
All right, so you guys get your study time in, and we'll be coming back to Tradeport in a week's time, and that's where we will break for tonight, and we will pick this up again next week.
All right, cool.
All right, well, that was fun.
Sounds good. Thanks for running.
Thanks, man.
Excellent. All right, I will see you guys next week.
Take care.
All right.
You too.
Good night.
See you guys.
Have a good one.